Reel of Shadows. Chapter 1. The Midnight Flicker. It was past midnight when Leela sank into her worn-out armchair. The familiar creak of springs of the lullaby of sorts. The house was quiet, and the only light came from the flickering glow of the television. Leila had always been a night owl, finding solace in the silence after everyone else had gone to bed. She often spent those late hours indulging in old movies, allowing herself to be whisked away into different worlds. Tonight was no different, except for the strange sensation that had been nagging at her all evening, a persistent feeling that something was off. She couldn't put her finger on it, but there was a heaviness of it, as if the night itself was holding its breath. Layla scrolled for the endless options on the screen, her eyes tired but restless. Then she saw it, a film she didn't recognize, titled Echoes in the Dark. The thumbnail showed a woman standing in the shadows, her face partially obscured, her eyes reflecting a quiet despair that felt oddly familiar. While a second thought, Layla clicked play. Chapter 2. The Unfolding Story. The movie began with a shot of a small, quaint house nestled in the woods. The camera panned inside, revealing a living room that looked eerily similar to Layla's own. The same armchair, the same knickknacks on the shelves, the same worn rug underfoot. Layla sat up straighter, but her interest peaked. As the film progressed, she watched in growing disbelief. The woman on the screen, her name was Emily, was living Layla's life. She had the same job, the same friends, even the same strange relationship with her mother. It was all there, laid out in stark detail, as if someone had been following her, documenting her every move. At first, Layla tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just a coincidence, she thought. Maybe the similarities were just tricks in her tired mind. But as scene after scene played out, parallels became impossible to ignore. As she watched as Emily went through the same heartbreaks, the same small victories, the same quiet moments of solitude that Layla herself had experienced. And then everything shifted. The scenes grew darker, the music more haunting. The woman on the screen began to change. Her face became gaunt, her eyes hollow. She moved through her life as if in a trance, a shadow from herself. Layla's heart began to race as she recognized the signs, the same ones she had been seeing in herself during her most difficult times. Chapter 3. The chilling realization. The final act of the movie was set in the dead of night. Layla was alone in her home, the same house that mirrored Lyle's in every way. She sat in her armchair staring blankly at the television, just as Layla was doing now. The camera zoomed in on Emily's face, capturing every small detail in her expression. Fear, confusion, resignation. Lyle's breath caught in her throat as she realized what was happening. Emily was not just a character in the movie, she was Lila. This was not just a story, it was her life laid out before her, every moment of joy and sorrow, every choice she had made. And then came the moment that made Lila's blood run cold. On the screen, Emily's television flickered, and the picture shifted. It was now showing a movie about a woman watching a movie late at night. The same title appeared, Echoes in the Dark, and the woman on the screen was just sitting in the armchair, watching herself in the television. It was an endless loop, a spiral repetition that made Lyle's head spin. She could feel the walls closing in, the room growing colder. Her hands began to tremble as she tried to turn off the television, but the remote wouldn't work. The screen flickered, and the image of Emily blurred, morphing into something unrecognizable. It was in that moment Lila realized she wasn't just watching a movie, she was living it. This was her life playing out in front of her, and she was powerless to stop it. The thought crossed her mind like a whisper in the dark. Am I already dead? Chapter 4. The Final Frame. Lila's world started to unravel. The familiar surroundings of her living room felt foreign, as if she were seeing them through someone else's eyes. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch and twist, reaching out to her with cold, invisible fingers. She looked back at the screen. Emily, or was it Lila? It was no longer in the armchair. The camera panned slowly through the house, moving down the hallway, pausing at the closed door. Lila knew what was behind the door. It was the door to her bedroom, the place where she had spent so many nights tossing and turning, lost in her own thoughts. The door on the screen creaked open, revealing a dark room. Lila felt a chill run down her spine as the camera moved inside. The shadows growing thicker, darker. There was a figure on the bed, lying still, covered by a blanket. Lila's heart pounded in her chest as she watched the camera inch closer, closer, until it revealed the face of the person lying there. It was her. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. The woman in the bed was her, but she was not moving. She was pale, her eyes closed, her face serene. Lila stared at the screen, unable to tear her eyes away. The movie wasn't about her life, it was about her death. As the final scene played out, Lila felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. The fear that had gripped her moments before had melted away, replaced by a deep, eerie acceptance. The screen faded to black, and the credits began to roll. But Lila didn't see them. She was already gone. Epilogue. The next morning, as the sun rose as it always did, casting a warm, golden light over the world. Lila's home was quiet, the television still flickering with the remnants of the movie. The armchair where she had sat was empty, but a chill lingered in the air. And in the darkness of the now silent room, the shadows seemed to pulse with life, as if they had taken something with them when the end credits had rolled.